Where there's thunder, there's lightning. John Nada. And here we are in a new year. It has been a minute since I've made a video, and there's been a few things that I guess have happened in the meantime. One of which being the quarantining of the MGTOW Reddit. So we all kind of knew that that was coming at some point. I have not really kept up with the banning and censoring of MGTOW channels on YouTube, but I imagine that that is continuing and possibly is even intensifying at this moment in light of, like I said, the quarantine. So that all being said, I'm back with another video, and I'm basically going to continue to make videos until either the channel is banned or I just run out of anything meaningful to say. And today there's no particular topic except that there is, and what I mean by that is this is a little bit of a tidbit to the guys out there that are wanting to start a MGTOW channel, don't really know how. I mean, for me, a lot of times my videos on this channel are a mix of just stream of consciousness kind of thought about a particular subject, or if it's a more complex or more varied topic, oftentimes I'll do an outline. As I'm sure many of you can probably tell, you know, a difference in the videos from time to time, where some seem more rehearsed and polished than others. But these are really more my favorite because they just allow me to speak from the heart and speak about things that I've been thinking about. And I'm sure many of you have been thinking about a lot of different things out there. The thing that seems to be occupying my mind the most right now is work and workplace politics. You know, it's interesting, once you release yourself from the shackles of relationships and dating and that sort of thing, you think that all your problems are solved, but really there's multiple aspects to the red pill, as we've spoken about before. And though you may not have to be dealing with a whole lot of BS when it comes to relationships and marriage and all that kind of stuff, what I find myself dealing with right now is a phenomenon that I've dealt with off and on in the past with various different jobs that I've worked at. And I'm sure for many of you it's the same thing, but it seems like if you're any kind of an intelligent person that has good ideas, that has a work ethic, that is, you know, a person with ingenuity, you can rest assured that you will never be given an opportunity to grow or progress wherever you are. And the reason being, what I have found to be the common denominator with most of the places I've worked is that the people at the top were not the most intelligent. They were not the most imaginative. They just were the most ruthless. And so those that had the talents, those that were gifted, those that worked hard, did not stick with these places very long. And it wasn't just me that left these places, but it was many other people that also left as well, because they were stifled in growth. They were stifled in their ability to not only have a satisfaction at their work, but also the things started, you know, at least for me, and I'm sure many others, work begins to be brought home, whether in the physical sense or in the rumination sense. And so Bruce Lee had a very good quote that I think is interesting in terms of application to life. Running water never goes stale, so you got to keep on flowing. And that's the problem with a lot of jobs. They don't allow you any sort of growth, neither inside the company nor outside. And so a lot of what I've noticed, which again is not anything new, but it seems like it's not how well you can do your job or how hard you can work. It's rather how much you can suck up. It's how much you can brown nose. It's not who you know, it's who you blow, as they say. And this is very true. And it doesn't matter what you did in the past. It doesn't matter how hard you worked in the past. you know, your health that you sacrificed, time with your family that you sacrificed, how many times you came in early or stayed late. In many ways, work, employment, employers are like women in that it's what you've done for them lately. And even then, when the tide turns against you, many people lose sleep and focus so much on winning over the boss or winning over their supervisor and wondering if their boss or their supervisor likes them, to the point of uh, trying to spend time with these people outside of work at the company picnic or whatever. I mean, you can't stand to be in the same building with them for 8 hours a day. Why would you want to spend time with them outside of work? But people do it because it's the jockeying and the networking and the, tearing for position. And I may have quoted this before, but it's one of my all-time favorite lyrics in a song, Pete Tosh. I'm not in this world to live up to your expectations, and neither are you here to live up to mine. Because I am that I am, I am, I am. And when you start to think about what all this means, maybe for some people, playing that Machiavellian part is not necessarily a bad move. I think if you're at a place that doesn't respect you, doesn't respect the work you do for them, the sacrifices you make, the job that you do, doesn't respect your time, then the answer is to find a place that does or go into business for yourself. And play that game. Never show your hand to these people. It does no good to tell your employer your plans, because then they'll plan to cut you out. Because at the end of the day, a lot of these places claim the mantra of we're family here. But you're not, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether the boss likes you 1 minute and doesn't like you the next. Because the minute that you are no longer economically viable to the company, the minute that you no longer serve your purpose or produce what it is they want you to produce, they're cutting you out. They're cutting you out, and it doesn't matter. You could be the most likable person on the planet. Your boss could like you, but it doesn't mean that he won't fire you. And what I'd like to see a lot of MGTOW men become are those that only have two things in this world, as Tony Montana said. I've got my balls and my word, and I don't break either for anybody. And so I'm not really sure what the point of this particular podcast is, other than to just lament my current situation with work. I'm not on the verge of being fired. I'm not on the verge of losing my job. I'm not really on the verge of anything. And that's kind of the problem. I'm not growing. And it's starting to stifle outside, things outside of work. So I'm slowly fighting back. I'm slowly bouncing back. On the weight loss front, I've lost, I weighed myself this morning. I've lost 5 pounds. Completely changed my diet. I started going back to the gym. I've started hitting the heavy bag again. Just doing some things, practical workout stuff. So that goes into the other point I wanted to make, which is, even if things aren't all that satisfying at work, the most important thing that you can invest in is yourself, and in your mental health, your spiritual health, and your physical health. Because you can't put a dollar sign on your own self-improvement and your own self-actualization. The other thing is that a lot of these places roll by fear. They roll by this notion that you're going to be gone at any minute, at will employment. With the snap of a finger, you can be gone. And in some cases, maybe that's true. But at the end of the day, you have life. you have one of the most precious things you can have. And you can't look at your life as if someone else is in control of it. The job is there. It's a means to an end. It's a means to put food on the table, and a means to pay bills and that sort of thing. But if it's not there, it's not the end of the world. Maybe a better opportunity will come along. Maybe that's the fire that you need lit under your proverbial behind to get you out of the rat race and to get you into business for yourself. And I always keep telling people to not worry about pleasing your boss, to not worry about pleasing your company. Do your job by all means. Play the game. Any workplace has its politics. I'm not saying go out of your way to piss people off and to be a pariah. But remember that their loyalty only goes for you insofar as what you do for them. And it's not a two-way street. Another way of putting it is, are any of these people going to be at your funeral? Probably not. So why do you care so much about what they think or they don't think? What's more important is to care about what you think about yourself. You're the one that has to look yourself in the mirror in the morning and at night when you go to bed. It doesn't matter if everyone else is pleased with you and happy with you if you're not pleased and happy with yourself. There's a lot of people that pulled the blanket up over them in the back seat of the car they were living in while they were getting on their feet, that had more peace and serenity because they knew who they were and they knew the value that they had, and they didn't sell their soul, than the millionaire that goes to bed on the 1,000-count Egyptian thread cotton sheets or whatever in the big master bedroom, who eventually ODs on sleeping pills. There's a lot to say about the value that you hold yourself intrinsically to. Work hard, but do it for you. Do it for your own progression. Do it because it's going to help you get a better job, or because it's going to help you finally get debt free. And most importantly, save your money, guys. I find that that's one of the decisions that I've made that I'm most pleased with, is that I haven't maybe saved as much money as I'd like, but I've certainly saved some. And let me tell you something. It makes it a lot easier to sleep at night knowing that if something happens with this job, or if something happens with this position, I've got enough skills and certifications and education that I could go out and get another one. Maybe I'd have to move across state. Maybe I'd have to move across the country. Maybe I'd have to go overseas, but I would have a job. I might not have one tomorrow. I might not have one in a month, but I would eventually have one. And I've saved up enough to the point where I could do the job search and be comfortable doing it and not worry about where I'm going to be at and how I'm going to pay my bills. I guess I'm saying all that to say this. When you really think about it in the grand scheme of things, a lot of it's fear. Fear of the unknown. And a misplaced trust in where your sustenance and provision comes from. Yes, it's nice to be employed. It's nice to have a job. It's nice to have a paycheck. And you should be grateful to a point for that, to be able to get out and earn the fruits of your labor by your own hand. But that doesn't mean being a slave. That doesn't mean placing a misplaced trust in this employer. Because at the end of the day, we're men going our own way, and we will find a way. We will take care of ourselves. We will sustain ourselves. We will overcome, and we will be those who will be beholden only to ourselves. Now, there's going to be another video coming up here probably in the next day or two. Like I said, I'm writing the outline right now. I've got a lot of different ideas. And so that is coming in the mix. I'm going to try to put videos out more frequently. Like I said, as I have ideas, the videos will come. I just want to be a word of encouragement to you guys out there, because we're getting around to that time where people are already giving up on their resolutions, their goals, the things that they wanted to change in this coming new year. And let me tell you something, you don't know the power that is within inside you until you test it. That being said, as always, go your own way or don't. The choice is yours.